Fora TV. The world is thinking.
Okay, let me begin with the astonishing fact that there's 6 trillion cigarettes smoked every year worldwide, which is enough to make a continuous chain from the Earth to the Sun and back, with enough left over for several round trips to Mars, admittedly when Mars is in a near-Earth orbit. That's 350 million miles of cigarettes depositing 60,000 metric tons of soot, cyanide, and radioactive polonium into the lungs of smokers. And I should say that even Californians actually smoke over 20 billion cigarettes a year, and cigarettes are still actually by far the leading cause of death in California. And actually in per capita terms, Californians still actually smoke close to the global average. Okay, so why do cigarettes persist? And I would say the answer is the enormous power of the tobacco industry, which at one time or another has corrupted virtually every institution in America, at least to some degree. Tobacco has corrupted the American Medical Association for a time by paying millions to buy silence or sympathy of American physicians. It's corrupted the media by creating conditions of dependence on tobacco advertising, leading to the relative silence on this particular hazard. It's corrupted the American legal system, as tobacco industry lawyers basically wrote the legal immunity into the basic doctrines of tort liability, including the famous Section 402A of the Restatement Second on Torts, which grants a carte blanche exception to good tobacco when it comes to legal liability. It's corrupted sports by becoming the world's leading sponsor of sports, from baseball and soccer to bowling and cricket. Tobacco has even corrupted the United States military by prodding its friends in Congress to pass tobacco-friendly laws. The United States Navy in 1986, for example, announced a plan of going smoke-free by the year 2000, and the industry responded by getting its friends in Congress to pass a law requiring that all ships in the U.S. Navy not only sell cigarettes but allow smoking on board ship. And as a result, smoking was not banned in U.S. submarines until the year 2011. There are many other examples, but the one most relevant here is science. Manipulation of science has been one of the chief ways by which the tobacco industry has flexed its political muscles from the beginning of the conspiracy on December 14th, 1953. The goal was eventually to fight science with science, funding tobacco-friendly research on a massive scale to create an illusion that the industry was doing the right thing and taking responsibility for human health, when in fact it was mounting a gigantic confusion campaign. Well, what kind of science did big tobacco support? Most of it was what I like to call decoy or distraction research. The idea this was science that could not possibly incriminate tobacco in any kind of harm. So there's a great deal of genetics, behavioral genetics, virology, occupational carcinogenesis, immunology, basic biochemistry. The goal was also to cultivate witnesses for litigation or in testimony before Congress or regulatory bodies. And think about it, there's 5 different butter dyes that are butter yellows that are banned in the 1950s on far less evidence than we had for tobacco. And of course, the whole point was that butter yellow didn't have a giant industry behind it. The network of collaboration with the tobacco industry among academics is so vast, I'm calling it the biggest breach of academic integrity since the Nazi period. The Council for Tobacco Research alone, one of many denialist organs, funded 7,000 published articles in the scientific literature, mostly medical literature actually, and led to the awarding of 10 Nobel Prizes, at least one of whom was working secretly for the tobacco industry, actually, for a time at least, and that was actually the founder of Hum Bio at Stanford.